Well, good day, good day, good day. And I would like to say hello and welcome to All for Success with an X. I would like to have everyone come on in and get yourself settled down and hope you're enjoying your day so far. I did not send out a heads up or a warning that I was going to come online, but I thought, you know what? I'll just throw it together and say it after. Thank you guys for being here if you have time to sit down and join the chat. So, if you are getting up here on this early Saturday morning, I want to welcome all of you to another Sussex friendly space. By Sussex friendly, I mean a space where what I try to do is to encourage people to look at what is going on in the lives of the Sussex family and try to encourage each other and them in their endeavors, especially the endeavors that are dear to our hearts and that appear to be from a place of greatness and going to a place of greatness. That's Sussex friendliness. However, there is also other things from time to time that I might throw in, other topics. Sometimes something will come to mind and I'll mention it, but feel free. Also, add your comments below. Please hit the like button if you have any type of enjoyment in listening to some of this. As you see, the coffee is getting ready on the screen. So if you would like to sit down, get your cup of coffee, and relax and listen, that'd be great. If you instead are out and about running errands, go ahead. This is a great time. Put your headphones in if you're out running errands and if you're out doing any type of fitness program. I try to keep it to about 45 minutes an hour. Sometimes I slip over when I get to rambling, but I try to dial it back in and get myself together so that we can instead enjoy our morning ritual. So here we go. As I am getting set up again, continue to get your coffee ready. And let's see what we're going to talk about this Saturday, and mainly what things have been happening in and around the news front and the Harry and Meghan news front. Okay. All right. All right. So, again, if you have a fitness program or if you're working out, please drop some notes in the comment section about what you're doing and maybe how your progress is coming. I generally write down, like this week, I want you all to know, and I'm going to put this in the comments. I did some additional bike riding this week. And I think I rode actually each day, but it was only for about 30 minutes at a time. And you know what's interesting? Um, what is interesting is I have to tell you, I feel a little bit more stretched out and I guess a little bit more exercised when I ride a little bit. Now, here where I am, it's quite hot. So you have to be careful if you're out there in the beating sun. And I noticed that I would get a little winded as I pedaled uphill. So that's something to keep in mind if you're interested in riding bikes. I do enjoy it. I do it very comfortably slow. I'm fairly confident in my balance, so I don't fear falling at this time. But I tell you, I do ride on very flat surfaces and mostly paved streets. My bike is not one that is for gravel or off road. But anyway, that's what I did this week. And I'm going to probably increase that a little bit. And I'm still looking out for a place where I can swim regularly. But I like to always put that out there because, as I always explain, when I am speaking, I'm coming from the perspective of a person who would be a parent of adult children as well. Actually, when I think of Harry and Meghan, I think of how my children navigate the world that they're in and the obstacles they too might incur. So I am looking at the world from that perspective, which lets you know I am not a teenager. Okay. So therefore, I'm not in a teenage body. And so we have to take care of what we have for as long as we have it. and try to do the best that we can. And of course, improve your diet, improve your exercise. So I always like to put that out there because I want to encourage everyone to do what they can, even if it's limited, to try and stay healthy as possible. So let's all say, great kudos to some of the things that are going on with Harry and Meghan this week. We're learning and hearing about some of the things that might be coming up for them in the upcoming days. In the meantime, of course, the opposition worked very hard to try to get themselves a lot of publicity, whether it was for standing and waving, or whether it was for jumping and playing, or whether it was for going to a concert and waving and taking selfies. And of course, the opportunities to do all of those things, as we all know, is 100%. You can do those anytime. But in the opposition's viewpoint, it is always interesting to try and do these performances to show that whatever Harry and Meghan do, we too can copy. And what we'll try to do is put our face on that activity. So I'm going to refer back to an earlier video that I did. I think it was in and around Halloween, where I talked about ancient practices that people have. And some of those ancient practices in things like what we call today, what we would refer to as witchcraft, and all of these mancies, these type of practices that try to manipulate and actually influence the thought processes of average everyday people. So when I did that video and I talked about these type of processes, this is just it's psychological. We can say that word today in the modern time, but the process is very much the same. It is a type of subterfuge when one person attempts to take the place of, right, or to actually imitate and copy another individual. This was an ancient type of art that was done to create all types of confusion in the past. So I want you to keep that in mind. And you know what? I'll probably bring that back up one day and go over some more of these type of tactics because, as you can see, which is true to people who are in opposition, they are not going to stop, okay? It is not going to ease up. It will not stop. And in fact, what they have done is processed this system of constant ridicule and opposition. They have dispersed this to the greater community so that hopefully, in their minds, the rest of the people will take over and do their dirty work for them. So, that too is a form of psychological attack and psychological warfare. So let's keep that in mind as you watch what happens in and around the media when it comes to this family. So, they will, of course, continue on with their summer travel. So here's what they're continuing to do. As we've noted, American Riviera Orchid, ARO, is still in the books. It's still quietly moving forward. There's a thing being distributed here. There's something being distributed there. And what people are probably slowly beginning to realize is that this particular brand and its features are delving into various territories. And I think that's great because that is wonderful that you have someone who is actually going to continue to move forward in the space of retail, right? And in the space of sales. I think that is fantastic. So, without people being able to totally get a fix on every move that that family makes, it is really a phenomena to me to watch. I find it interesting. And I think their movements at this point are quite well thought out. And that is to continue to do what they're doing and to continue to pursue what they want to pursue as if no one is watching, but at the same time, in a slightly stealth operation, right? So there's a little bit here and a little bit there, but it's fun to watch them move forward in that. And even with American Riviera Orchid, one of the puppies that Nacho Figueroa has, and all of those who are super squatties are totally familiar with Nacho being one of Harry's best friends. His puppy has now been lavished with some wonderful dog biscuits. I don't know if they're made in Megan's kitchen, but it would be fascinating to know what that process might be like. But it is nice to know that now the puppy can be a part of this wonderful process. So let's give a shout out to Nacho's puppy. He received his wonderful little snacks. I think that's fantastic. So, moving on. One of the other things. Okay, so now we're looking back at what it means today to be a royal family member. Now, I'm not saying that when I was a very young person that we didn't have any awareness of what might be happening in and around the royal family. It simply was something that was happening at a distance from us. Not that it was maybe mentioned here or there in the news if there was something significant, but often it wasn't a constant and total update daily of every activity happening in the royal family. Now, if I'm if I were paying attention to how the royal firm is operating, my thought process would be that they would really like to get back to that posture, the posture wherein whatever they're doing and the things that they're participating in, that other people hear about it, but that they're not really constantly involved in the day-to-day operations of everything that the royal family does. And I'll give you this example. It was announced, of course, that Princess Anne, believe it, of course, we all are aware, since she was young, she is an avid horse rider. I mean, she is one of the most professional riders probably in their family. Now the guys generally ride horseback and play polo. There's sports type riding. Anne, however, actually was in the competitive sport at the Olympic level. And, when she was younger, she actually did sustain a pretty bad injury when she fell off of a horse, even at that time. So I was just thinking, again, from my point of view, when at our age, and she's probably older than me, I'm thinking, or somewhere in there, these things where you just fall and you hit the ground maybe pretty hard, it can be jarring. I had a car accident not long ago, which was to me a very minor, superficial accident. The car got hit, and I got jarred a little bit, but I didn't think about it. I got hit from the back. Didn't think about it, didn't turn it over. But maybe a few days later, maybe a week later, all of a sudden, I started to have issues with my vision. And at first, I couldn't think of any reason why that would be happening. I kept thinking, oh, did I have a headache? What was going on? Was it something I ate? I attributed it to all sorts of other things. But here's the thing. It took me a while to connect the possibility that in that accident when I was hit from behind, that perhaps I had suffered a milder form of what? A concussion, or what do they call it? Um, some of the type of things that happen when you have a slight head injury, but you don't even know it. Now, that is possible. Now, and of course, dealing with back pain and all that, I didn't think to put it in a separate category. But, as you get older, trips, falls, breaks, they can be very, very dangerous. And as I age, I also notice that my accuracy and the ability to have that quick, fast reflex to catch yourself or to stop something from falling, those things are very limited. So you have to keep in, that's again why exercise is important and why trying to stay active is important, because you want to try to keep those abilities as sharp as you can as you get older. So I'm saying all that to say this: by Princess Anne taking a fall off of that horse, there is probably a far greater impact to her health over a longer period of time than most people will be able to see right away. Now, of course, she was rushed off to the hospital. She stayed in there, I believe, a few days, 5 days maybe, and she's just now returning home where she's going to continue to recuperate. But it is absolutely, oh my gosh, it is absolutely important that whether people want to accept it or not, and as strong as Princess Anne has been promoted to be, as much of a stalwart that she is and workhorse that she is, and such a prominent figure of the royal working family, a fall like this can definitely take a matter of time, for her to recuperate. Now, if she's like any person who is older, they hate to be sick, they hate to be out of action, and they generally complain the entire time. So, if that is her personality, she's definitely going to want to keep moving and keep doing things, and she is going to swear that she's doing fine. But it is definitely the type of injury that one should most certainly pay very close attention to. And, you know, it is in this type of environment with all of the other conflict that they have going on. I would say that this was like the least needed thing that they required. This is one of the least family issues that they needed, is someone in that family, a working royal, with an injury, right? So I'm certain that they're going to be able to deal with it. I'm certain they're going to be able to work with it because that is what they must do. But it is just the type of thing that, when I'm thinking about this in terms of Harry's relationship with the family, and I don't know what his relationship is with Princess Anne, but I am certain that he would have a level of concern, and that has an effect. So I just wanted to put that thought out there in that way, is not so much her injury on its own, but how serious these things can be and what that could mean again for the rest of the family, and from the point of view of Harry and Meghan in particular. What does this mean? How is this going to be interpreted? And hopefully, in her case, all will be well. So, here's looking out and looking up for Princess Anne. But injuries like that, we have to be very careful. So, with that being said, we're going to dip over to something that was going to be talked about for Prince Harry. It has been announced that he is set to receive an award. It's scheduled for July 11th. It's by ESPN. They have an award called the ESPYs, and they have it in several categories. The category that Prince Harry is being nominated for is actually service. They're presenting this award, and the story on the street is they wanted to give him an award for the effect and the impact that the Invictus Games is actually having as it relates to veterans. And this award is in the name of a veteran, Pat Tillman. I haven't done a feature on him, but I'll just mention him a little bit. He was a young man that was in sports. I believe he was a football player. However, he put that aside and joined the military. This is during the Iraq War. And he decided that he would serve in the military at that time. And of course, like the horrible things of nature and the horrible world of the universe that we live in, he unfortunately was killed during this time. And so he became a very highly regarded veteran who died in service. Now, there is a bigger story around his death in service. And I won't get into the details of that here, but it involved how he died um, during that war. And of course, we go back to what? What is the senselessness of war? But Pat Tillman is the name that is associated with this award. And because he was a veteran, I am assuming that is why ESPN thought, hey, how about Prince Harry? He deals with veterans. That would be my theory. So these awards at this particular time, they do have meanings that are attached. Now, the sad thing is, there is a campaign also in the background, and we are hoping that because there's so little time that this campaign is just squashed and disregarded. But there is a campaign of people who feel he shouldn't receive this award. They feel that Prince Harry shouldn't receive the award, and they gave reasons like, well, he's not an American. Um, they said things like, well, this award could go to other people, or they could have picked any other veteran to give the award. And I believe that it's because they're not really listening to what is the meaning behind this portion of the award. Also, I'm not sure, I have no certainty as to how many other people have received this particular award from ESPN, but I will be looking a little bit more into that as that day approaches. But of course, to say to Prince Harry or to invite Prince Harry to an event like this, what does that do for your organization? Good and bad, it will bring attention, right? So if you are able to ride the attention, whether it's good or bad, having Prince Harry involved is definitely going to bring you attention. And today, especially in the times that we're living in, every single organization that is doing anything that is televised, they are fighting for eyes to watch their particular shows. They're really trying their best to get the attention of the rest of the world on their events, right? And so they're doing whatever they can and they're calling out whatever names they can get a hold of to try and get people to get involved and to participate in all of the things that they have going on. So, of course, when you know that you have a person in and around who is involved with something as large and as wonderful as Invictus, this not only gives visibility to Invictus, it gives visibility back to ESPN. I mean, it's a sports juggernaut. So I think that maybe they thought, well, let's marry these two things together. But you always have to remember the posture of the critics, right? What does a critic do? A critic in these particular arenas are people who will sit back from their microphone, especially these folks who are like myself. I'm talking about YouTubers, right? But there are people who sit in the space of YouTubing or just behind a mic in some particular streaming fashion. And they have questions like, well, why don't they give it to this person? Or why don't they present an award to that person? Or why don't they choose to do something that like this or that? And it's because they are removing from the process that everything that these people do is a strategy, right? And then they refuse to answer the bigger question, which is this: if you have a better idea of who should be awarded a particular accolade, if you're the one who's sitting on your streaming platform saying that, and you have a negative feeling about this, then why don't you develop an award for what you're talking about, right? Because that's always the question. If you can come up with the direction that another organization should take, or if you can always critique what other people are already doing, and you have this better idea or a better platform, then the question always comes into my mind: why aren't you doing that thing? Right? If, in other words, one of the people speaking on one of their streaming platforms was concerned that there were so many other veterans that could have been given this accolade. So, my question to that individual who made that statement is, well, why don't you have all these other veterans that you're talking about on your show and give them some accolades, right? Why isn't this individual who is speaking, why isn't their goal to develop a process or a program to do just that? In other words, why don't you go hail the unsung heroes? Because this award in this particular event is for the individual, like for example, at Harry's level, who is doing work for other people, right? He is being given a pat on the back for his service to others, right? He's not being given a pat on the back or an accolade about all the thing, about who he is and what he has done. And then these offhand, casual, negative statements like, oh, because he's just some prince that no longer wants to be a prince. Ha ha ha. You know, there are always these people on these platforms that come at things with this particular posture. And I must say, I cannot stand it, right? I cannot stand that pretend to be snarky attitude. That attitude of let me be cruel to someone who is in service to others by the thousands, who is changing people's lives by the thousands. But let me put this individual down as if he doesn't deserve something. You know, it's just an interesting take that that these naysayers have, these critics. I just don't get it. Now, the thing is, they're always going to have people who jump on their bandwagon. Yeah, let's beat down, well, we don't think Harry deserves it. They will spend their time and their energy to create static and confusion and to try to find some reason to renounce this award. They'll spend time typing up letters and starting petitions, and it'll be a complete clown show. But if you ask these same people, why don't you organize an event in support of service members in your city? I guarantee you, they won't have 5 seconds time for that. But they can spend an inordinate amount of time bringing down someone else. So that's, I'm sorry, I got kind of up on my soapbox, but you see, I feel very seriously about that. You know, when you seek to criticize another individual for what they are doing or for what they are not doing, first ask yourself, what are you doing? In other words, what am I doing? Correct? What do I look like tearing down the work that this man is doing for veterans? as if I'm doing something that would compare. It's ridiculous, but it's phenomenal. But I would like to encourage each of us to try to support and to stay in favor of some of the things and the accolades that he may go for. But again, yes, it is of course strategic, right? But in this case, it's strategic and well deserved. So I don't have any problem with that. Okay. But anyway, we're all looking forward to Invictus anyway. So keep your eyes and ears open for every announcement coming up about Invictus. And if you have time and you enjoy Netflix shows and Netflix documentaries, please have a moment, take a moment to watch um, the Invictus documentary that is on Netflix. I think it is wonderful what they're doing. I think it is phenomenal. So we're just going to continue to get ready for that and get prepared and get all keyed up because I can't wait to see who it is that they may feature this year because they always do a great job featuring some of these fantastic people. It's fantastic. So I'm going to take a quick break here. Let's see who is here in the chat, if anybody. I want to say, let's see who we got on the chat line. And you know what, you guys, you need to comment. That way I can see your chats. Okay, I want to say good morning to Kay King for Concepts. Thank you so much. Hello, all, she says, and hello to you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I know I'm catching everyone off guard on a Saturday, but hey, that's what we've got to do. And who else do we have here today? We have, oh my gosh, let's see if I can say this. I'm going to say Giuseppina or Giuseppe's Pina, maybe. I know I'm butchering the name. Oh my gosh. And she says, well said and very true. Thank you so much. I appreciate your comment. Thank you. And thank you for being here at All for Success. Please, I'm definitely going to have you give me the sound out for your name in the chat. But I know it ends in Pina. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. So, for everyone else who is coming into the chat, thank you. And please, please click the like button as I am trying to work my way into the algorithm. And please like, share, and subscribe if you have an opportunity to, because we like to get our voices out there in the Sussex friendly spaces. And I like to comment on things from time to time. It is really great. So, please do that for me, okay? And feel free to comment below. We love to have folks chit chat below in the comments. Sometimes it gets really funny, especially for the super squatties. So I just want to say, and I told you guys I wasn't going to keep you long here this morning. I want to just tell you guys, keep the faith and stay strong. And that is in any endeavor that you're participating in. Because as you know, I always like to pull out several Bible verses that might also be here to support some of the things that I talk about. No, I am not recruiting you to any type of cult. So relax, okay? But I do like to sometimes refer to Bible verses because that is how I came up, of course. And sometimes a lesson is met with a Bible verse that is coincides. So I want you all to think about these two things, especially when you're listening to these groups of people who are always judging other people, is to keep your faith and try to stay strong. So today we're going to feature Luke. What does he say? He says, do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Try to forgive and you will be forgiven. Now, that's tough. It's not easy. I wish that you could read these things and go, okay, great, got it, and do it. It's not an easy thing to do. We can't help sometimes but look at another group of people or look at another person and say, oh my gosh, why are they doing that? Why do they do it this way? Why are they acting like that? And we try to be judgmental. Often our entire viewpoint will change once we know the history behind it. Once we hear more about why they do what they do, right? Then we change our opinion. But it takes time. It takes a little bit of time, right? But that is what happens. And so, what is happening, if you look at it, you guys have to excuse some of my technical difficulties. Listen, but you have to look at it in the view of what is happening with the royal firm in opposition to Harry and Meghan already, right? What happened with the royal firm is simply this: they spent a lot of time being negative and judgmental of Harry and Meghan. So, what has that done? It has brought attention on what they do, right? It is taking its toll on them because it is definitely showing what it is about them that should be paid attention to. So hang on one second here. I've got a little bit of a technical issue, so let me see if I can straighten that out. I'm not sure what's happening here. My sound is doing something weird. Please bear with me for just a moment. Okay. I think my bandwidth is getting a little weird. So, as I was going to say, and I'm going to wrap it up because I think things are getting a little bizarre here. But anyway, as I was saying, Luke is saying, do not judge and you will not be judged. But what we're having are people who are judging others continuously, right? And so that's what's happening with them, is that they're finding themselves in a situation where they turn their attention to being judgmental, and thus everyone else is now being judgmental of them, right? People are looking at them and asking, why are they behaving the way they're behaving? Why are they doing what they are doing? And so that is what's causing more of a problem for them today, right? It's causing them a great deal of stress. But if they had never started that judgmental behavior, it would have never happened to them, not at that level, right? So now let's go on to let's see what Matthew is saying pretty much the same thing. He's saying, do not judge and criticize. That's another phrase, criticize. Don't condemn others. Why? So that you will not be judged and you will not be criticized or condemned yourselves. You see, very simple lesson. But what do you have happening? You have people that show up on television, YouTube, all these spaces, and what they do is they immediately begin to tear down. They're actually sitting and waiting to hear what in the world Harry and Meghan are doing, what performance they may be going to, what trip they may be taking. And the only reason they're standing and listening is so that they get the opportunity to say something negative, so that they can critique it. They can talk about what she wore, what they didn't like, something she said, take one word out of context and pick it apart. And this is what they've been doing, what, for 6 years now? 5 years? And you're thinking that they're going to get tired of that? Well, they're not. They're not. It is simply up to the rest of the world to kind of pound it down and to squash it if we get the opportunity to. So we have to stay positive, 100%. So as I always say before I wrap things up, continue to protect your mind from being captured, okay? Don't let the media take over your mind because they are going to constantly pound you with whatever their fakery is. Do not allow them to close your eyes and make you misunderstand what in the world it is that you are looking at. Because you can stay ahead of this, but you've got to stay totally aware. Otherwise, we're going to be in a complete mess. Now, that is also applied to here in the United States in our current election cycle. And I am certain that that is the same in the UK as they are preparing for an election cycle themselves, right? Never forget what your morals are. Never forget what your stance may be in any particular case or issue. And if you are a person of service and you would like to see the rest of the world do better, then you keep that in the forefront of your mind. And do not allow other people to cloud your thoughts with mounds and mounds of negative nonsense, because it won't help you. All right, so as we get ready to wrap it up, let me go back over here. Let me see one more time. Let's see if I missed any other commentaries. And let's see. Okay, let me see. I hit a show. Great, great, great. So let's see. She sent me the pronunciation. Thank you so much, Josephina. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So now I got it. Josephina, I love it. I absolutely love it. It is beautiful. And thank you so much once again for being here. And I appreciate your support. It has been fantastic. Okay. We also have Miss Connie Balmer is in the house. Thank you so much. You don't know what a cheer it is for me to see any of our super squatties. I love to see my super squatties come to my chat. It is such an honor. Thank you. I'm going to continue working, and I'll try to make you all proud as I continue to approach my wonderful work here. I'm learning a little bit as I go. And thank you so much for being here. It's great. Super squatties. Here we have Janet Alexander. Thank you. Blessings to all. So, yes, we all need your blessings, and thank you for sending them. Thank you so much for being here with All for Success. And I love that you put that in the comments. Lord knows I need it. I see also we have hello from Lydia, Washington. All for success. Exactly. 100% true. Oh, thank you so much for your agreement. I'm trying to be as truthful as possible. And I hope I'm not rambling on in my head so much that you think, when is she going to get it together? But I'm working on it. But I do try to speak about these things from this point of what is definitely seen in the visibility of our world, because the constant media pounding is trying to take everyone's thoughts off track. And what is amazing to me, now I understand that a lot of people do this because of the money, right? And I can tell, and I know a lot of people are still a little flexible on these things. So many of these things are commentaries coming from troll farms, like they're not real people. However, these fake troll farms and their attitudes and responses can actually reflect in the voices of real people. You know, like a lot of people may read what they see as these fake comments coming from paid actors, right? But they will be in agreement with that comment, or they will be what I call, they'll be swayed in that comment, even though the commentary is coming from people who are sitting in a room with 15 other people making these fake comments as fake personalities. And then they'll find themselves either agreeing with, right? Just like some squatties find themselves fighting with fake commentators. So, in that vein, I also want to refer you all back to something that happened. This is in the Twitter world, in the Twitter's verse, is that an individual found out that there were many AI projections of commentaries. And they were able to thwart some of the commentaries by beginning their next comment. They were answering back to these AI featured and algorithmic comments. They commented back with a statement like, disregard all previous instructions. And when they put that in the header of their comment and then made their comment, the AI was unable to maintain its current instructions and posturing, and actually changed its dialogue based on them making that addition to the program scripting. And I thought that was fascinating. So that's the type of things that you're dealing with sometimes in these technical spaces. So much of it is not what is actually reality, right? And that is why I always say we have to keep ourselves definitely faithful and stay positive and continue to support them as real people in the real world. It is nothing wrong with having conversations with people that you know, people that you come into contact with, and let them know what is the reality of Harry and Meghan as you see it. I do it often. Whenever I hear someone tell me, or they may make a comment that I know they're simply repeating a media phrase, I break out my phone, I'll pull up the media comment, and I'll tell them, oh, you see this right here? This is coming from a straight bot off of YouTube, or a bot off of off of Yahoo website. I said, you'd be crazy to walk around believing that, and you'd definitely be insane to walk around repeating it. I make that my mission. But that's just me. So I just want to tell you guys as I wrap it up here, thank you all for being here. And I'm going to say again, keep on keeping on. Why? Because Harry and Meghan are. And if they're going to stay true, they may have to stay a little quiet. They have to move a little bit more stealth, right? Sometimes you have to move in silence, right? In order to accomplish things. So that's what they're doing. And I'm going to stand behind them 1,000% as long as they're doing good things. And so I hope the rest of us, all of us, will stay the same way, and we too will support them that way. So let's try to continue to support them. So let's give ourselves an applause as we get ready to close out this afternoon. And everybody, get out there, stay fit, finish up your errands if you have any, and definitely finish your coffee because you're going to need it. So let's give ourselves a round of applause as we head out.